Everybody's got a favorite color, right? I think it's fairly obvious from what you see in front of you that my favorite color is green. It always has been, ever since I was a little kid, you know? I'm not really sure what it is about green that I like so much. I guess it's probably that it's an earth color. You know what? When I think back to my childhood, I can remember from Star Wars, Luke Skywalker had a green lightsaber, and maybe that's where it all started. When I was a kid, I always wanted to have a lightsaber. I've pretty much given up that dream, but you know, we can still have folding knives and cool stuff like that. But yeah, my favorite color is green. You know, I've got a lot of green stuff. I almost struggle sometimes to buy clothing and other stuff like that that is not green. You know, like I need to make conscious efforts to buy other colors of clothes. Okay, so that being said, I was pretty much powerless to resist yesterday when I went into the knife store and I saw a product from Kershaw which was green, and I just couldn't help myself from picking it up and bringing it home with me. So you can see from the box that it's a made in the USA knife. I would say like the box as it compares to some others, it's a pretty cool box actually. I'll throw in the cold steel there so you can see that. But I think that the king of cool boxes is Spyderco, really. I just think there's something so classy about that box. You know you're bringing home something really cool when you see that box. Anyways, Kershaw box is not bad as they go. So I'll open it up and show you what I got. It is the Kershaw Blur, model number 1670 SPGRN, which stands for green. I guess this would technically be a sprint run Kershaw knife, and I've never owned a Blur before, so it was a first time for that. But this blade is absolutely sick. That's the only word I can think to describe it. It's just so beautiful. It's got so many really nice things going for it, and of course it's green. So let's start out by talking a little bit about this handle. You know, it's so beautiful. Like, you really can't say enough good things about it. You know, it's made of aluminum, so it's fairly nice and light. It's really thin as well. You know, making a knife out of steel, titanium, aluminum, etc. Tends to give it a fairly thin profile over, you know, a G10 or FRN alternative. The pattern on the handle is just amazing, the spider web. I love kind of like Halloween time. Like, I used to love that when I was a kid, and you know, sort of scary stuff, monsters, etc. I know I sound like a stupid little kid when I'm talking about this, but you know, talking about green and all this stuff, this is a knife that really kind of like takes me back to my childhood and like the things that I really enjoyed as a younger person. So yeah, the handle is just amazing. I think that's definitely the highlight of the knife. Second to that would be, of course, the black blade. It's a hollow ground, black coated, you know, CPM 154, which is a steel I've never owned before, but it is, it's made by Crucible Metals, which is the same company that does Spyderco's S30V blades. And you can see that the coating is remarkably similar. So I'm assuming that this is the diamond-like coating, and it should hold up fairly well, just as the Paramilitary 2 coating. I've got a couple scrapes on there. That was my fault when I was sharpening it on the sharp maker. I accidentally touched the coated surface onto the rod instead of the cutting edge. But overall, that black coating has held up really well, and I expect that this will probably do the same. What else about the blade? The blade shape, it's designed by Ken Onion, of course. I believe he's the one that invented the assisted opening, and a lot of his designs tend to have this sort of flowing, you know, kind of unusual blade shape. And I'll show the Recon 1 for contrast. You can see that the belly on the Recon 1, it just kind of goes in a nice uniform curve. No swirly, funny stuff going on there. But this knife, you can see it has kind of a wave, swirly, you know, nothing fancy, says it's kind of an organic blade shape. And I guess that's true. One thing I will say about that blade shape is it's very nice. It's a good cutter. Like, this knife came scary sharp out of box. I'll do just a bit of paper cutting here so you can see what I mean. Awesome. You know, you really can't say enough good things about how Kershaw knives come from the factory. This incidentally is a USA made knife, so the price will be kind of up there. But the blade shape is pretty cool. The one thing I will say though is I don't anticipate using this sort of I don't know what to call it exactly, but you can see the belly is here, like towards the tip, and it kind of goes up, you know, and away from the cutting surface, more or less. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's like I don't see myself using that portion of the blade very much, just because it's so much easier to get to the belly on the knife, right? So yeah, kind of a cool blade shape. Some people say they have problems sharpening that. I've never sharpened it yet, so I can't speak to that. But I think that coating will hold up a lot better than what you see on the Recon one. I think it's a nice, tough coating. And obviously the black and green, just the design of that, it looks pretty amazing. I'll use that word again, it looks sick. That's just the word that comes to mind when I think about this knife. Okay, so another thing I'll mention is the thumb studs on this knife. They're sort of, I don't know, like kind of half a thumb stud actually. And I'll show you the Recon one by contrast. You see it's kind of like a pillar on that. And this is sort of like the pillar's been diagonally sliced or something. And I have to say that those thumb studs work really well. You know, it's probably the best thumb studs that I can think of. I don't have the Zing anymore, but the orange Zing, I believe, had the same kind of thumb studs, and it was a manual action folder, and you could just make that fly open with those thumb studs. So they're really great. One thing I will say though is they kind of tear up your finger. I just got this knife yesterday. I've been kind of playing around with it, and my finger's kind of like messed up from these thumb studs. The other one, not so much, but they're very aggressive thumb studs. They kind of grab the thumb and pull on it. So it's just, it's kind of idiot proof, honestly, but they are kind of rough on the fingers, so beware of that. The knife does have a liner lock. This is, I forget what you call it, but maybe a recessed liner lock or something like that. So the other side of the knife does not have a liner, and this one is sort of like a half liner kind of thing, and it's buried within the handle. If you buy the other editions of the Blur, it's the same kind of lock, but the handles are made of, I don't know, I want to say they're not made of aluminum, but maybe they are. And they have the Track Tech inserts, so they're perhaps a little more grippy than this one. This knife does not have a lot of traction on it, but it does lock into the hand really well. And I'll do my sort of pointed down push test. You know, your hand doesn't slide forward. It would take like a lot of force to make your hand slide forward. Okay, so just some specs on the knife. It's like a 3.4 inch blade, and it is a 3.9 ounce knife, which is, you know, pretty much in the ballpark to make it sort of a larger, perfect EDC option. It is assisted opening, as I mentioned. It's got the Kershaw SpeedSafe, and I think that the SpeedSafe is probably the best assisted opening there is out there, really. You know, I'll compare this to the Flash 2 by SOG. You know, these are obviously knives at very different price points, but what I'll say is the lockup on the Kershaw is outstanding. You know, there's absolutely no give on it. It's very tight. On the SOG, you know, there's some slop to the lockup. You can feel it jiggling around. So I think that if I had to choose between a Kershaw assisted opening and a SOG, I would go with the Kershaw. You know, you could probably get a Blur that would be in the similar price range of the Flash 2, maybe a little bit more pricey, but I do think it's a better knife overall for sure. What else can I say about it? The clip is pretty decent actually. It's a very long clip, and if you sort of compare it against you know, like the Delica, which is just sitting here, I guess it's not like absurdly longer, but it's a good ½ inch longer, something like that. So it's kind of an unusual clip size, I would say. But as far as Kershaw goes, they've got some like really weird clips. I'll throw in the Zing here as another example. So if you're comparing it to the Zing, obviously this clip is a lot better. It's blackened for one thing, no like funny holes or any weird swirliness issues going on. It's just nice and simple. So I think that despite the kind of very glaring green color, I think that would bury nicely in the pocket and be sort of low profile in a certain way. It does have a lanyard hole on it, which is pretty cool for people who like lanyards. I could see putting like a black lanyard on there, and that would match well with the blade and the clip and just look pretty much awesome. It does have pillar construction, so it's like a flow-through design, very easy to keep clean. You can just, like what I do with these knives, the way I clean them is I kind of just blast it with some hot water through there, and then afterwards I sort of put some mineral oil into the pivot, keep it nice and lubricated, you know, but that's cool. That's a nice alternative to something like the Delica where, you know, if you get it really dirty, you might have to take that knife apart, whereas something like this, it's much easier to clean. What else can I say about it? Okay, so now let's talk about the price, which is a huge bugaboo for me. The price, I'll just show you the receipt here so you can see how much it cost me in Canada. $142.46. And people are probably saying, are you crazy? I got it from the House of Knives. You know, that's a lot of money to pay for a blade, you know, and I mean, what else could you get for that money? You could get the Paramilitary 2 in pretty much any configuration you want to. And is this a better knife? I don't know, that's debatable, but I think I would consider it to be a better knife. I think that the G10 will be a lot more durable than the aluminum. You can see, well, maybe you can't, but I'll try to show it on camera. Right there on the back of the blade, I noticed after I got it home that there's like a little chip out of it there. So I think that sooner or later, this, if you use the knife instead of just putting it away, that, you know, green coating on the aluminum is going to chip a little bit on you. I think it will wear fairly well though. I think that the coating on the black blade is pretty awesome. It's going to be durable. I think that aluminum in general is probably a very durable material. But yeah, that price is up there, you know. That's a lot of money to pay for a knife, especially when you can buy a Blur for, like, in the United States anyways, you can buy it for probably 60 bucks-ish, something like that, and it will, you know, deliver the exact same cutting performance as this sort of sprint run model. So that pretty much designates this blade, in my opinion, to collectors. People who really like Kershaw. They don't make a lot of sprint run knives, to my knowledge. In fact, they don't make a lot of high-end knives either. Like, most of their knives are sort of in that sort of $40, $35 price range. They provide a lot of really good stuff. Like, I'll show the Zing. I don't think this is one of their better knives, but you know, that's around 30 bucks. I've got the Skyline. Let me throw that in front of the camera too. Skyline, that's a pretty sick knife as well. You know, it doesn't have the cool factor, I suppose, of the Blur, this sprint run Blur, but it's still pretty cool. And I think that I read somewhere there's only 600 or 700 or maybe 300 of these things made. So it's the kind of knife that if you buy it and you're really into knives and collecting, if you hold on to it for a while, down the road you'll probably be able to sell that for exactly what you paid, or probably more than that. So it's, as an investment knife, I guess it's probably a good thing to have. That being said, there's probably a lot of things out there that are much better investments than knives. So yeah, pretty cool knife. I was powerless to resist. I still think it's amazing, so cool. Whenever I look at this knife, I just get a really happy feeling. It's awesome. So you know, if you're on the fence, if you happen to be a green freak like me, then you know, go after it. I don't think you'll be sorry. Thanks for watching.